What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to chess.com Blitz. We are playing with a deflated rating because we just lost some games, but you know what? We don't even care. We're here to improve, we're here to have fun, and we're here to practice our ability to speak and play chess at the same time. All those great things that help us to become more charismatic. So as long as that's happening, the result of the game in the near term does not matter. So let's keep going here. We're going to play our knight to e7, support the d5 pawn break, which we're going to make as soon as it's humanly possible after we castle and get our king to safety, of course. And now I'm thinking d5. So it takes, knight takes here. That looks pretty good. If he plays knight takes, we can play queen takes. Does he have any sort of a discovery like that? If he plays a discovery, we can always play queen to d5 check. Maybe best to prepare it a little bit more. Or we could just go for it now. Let me think about this. This would trade off a couple of pieces, relieve the tension in the center. Why don't we play b6 first? Get the bishop developed to this diagonal. Just doing some more preparation. See what our opponent has in mind as well. We want to, in many cases, not push things too far too fast. We also want to, let the opponent develop some ideas, see what he is planning on doing, so that we don't overcommit ourselves to any particular ideas that may not be the best. So now in this position, do we want to play d5? Let's keep preparing that move. Play queen to d7, and then I'm going to play rook to d8, and then we'll think about playing d5. Because if he discovers with the knight, then we can play queen takes d3. Okay, now that's possible since he's played bishop to d2. So let's go ahead with a break now. So now if he does a discovery with the knight, we can just take on d3 is my idea. He can also push past. That would be an interesting move. Okay, so he does decide to do that. And this has opened up the f5 square for our knight. And it's also opened up d4. So let's hop into f5. Actually, maybe this pawn could be weak at some point as well. Let's think about this for a moment. Do we want to challenge it maybe immediately with f6? He can't push yet. f6 takes. That could be strong. But bishop takes d5 check. Maybe we don't have to worry about that. We have plenty of defenses on d5. Let's go for f6 immediately. He could maybe play rook to e1. That would be a good move for him to think about. Okay, he just takes. Let's think about which way we want to take here with the bishop, with the rook. Let's take with the rook, with the idea of maybe getting the rook to d6, creating a battery on the d file. The rook can always just go back if need be. And I want to get the other rook on d8. I think that's a potential idea here. He could be going for like a b2, b4 break. He also could be attacking the d5 pawn. Those are all ideas. Get the pawn over to b3 and hit the d5 pawn. Get the bishop to the queen to d3 rather. He plays the knight to g5, and I think he's hitting the d5 pawn. But other than that, I don't see the purpose of that move. The pawn is not under threat or anything. So we can calmly get the other rook over to d8, which was our idea before. e6, f7, these are not under attack. He gets his queen to f3. Now we can think about putting the knight on f5. Is that going to hang the pawn though? Or we can push this pawn, but then he has knight to e4, which I think he's going to like. So let's... we can also play h6. Just drive the knight back. But that would weaken g6, although he can't really attack it yet. and it's defended by our knight. Let's play h6 first, drive his knight back, and then I'm thinking about playing rook to d6, and the knight here can also go to d4 immediately. We don't even have to put the other knight on f5 first. So quite a few possibilities in this position for both sides. I think I like knight to d4. I'm going to start with that move after he gets the knight out of the way. So let's go there. This square is covered by our queen, so we don't have to worry about that. I am thinking about getting some contact lenses soon, so that there's not this reflection off the glasses. The main reason I'm doing it is not for YouTube videos, but it has that ancillary effect. Moves his queen back and could get our rook to there. We could play c4 as well. c4 takes, and then trade off the bishops. But then he's got knight to e4. We could just play knight to rook to e6. Let's hold off on that for now. I don't want to commit to that yet. Let's play a6. Just get a move out. Being patient here and waiting to see what he's going to do. Maybe knight to f5. Actually, I like this idea. Yeah. Knight to f5. And he can trade off on d4 if he wants to, but we're replacing it with another knight. And he's gonna drive away the knight. That's a good move. Dare we venture to this square, or could we be doomed? Dare we? Dare we? Yes, let's dare to do so, because we can always take on g4. That was kind of a weakening move there by our opponent. I'm surprised that he committed to that. So let's see how he's going to continue from there. He takes the knight. Now we can take the bishop instead of taking back immediately. Let's take the bishop first. And then we can take back here with the pawn. And now the position is like kind of blown open quite a bit. We can play the bishop back to c8, hit this g4 pawn, which is also defended by the queen. He can maybe play his knight back to f2, but then this pawn could be weak at some point. Maybe we could play rook to f8, but his bishop is guarding it. Just trying to find a way to maybe break through on the king side here. If he allows that to get open. Plays his knight back to b3. Okay, so this leaves us with really only one move, which is to get the knight away. And we're still trying to find some way to maybe break through in this position. Plays his bishop back. Okay, it's logical. I guess we have to play g5 then. I don't really see any other ideas. And he's going to push the pawn. Okay. So our knight is defended. So we don't have to worry about that yet. And now we can open up this long diagonal to his king. That's going to create a lot of threatening ideas. Should we take immediately, or should we play queen d5? Queen d5. And he's going to have a hard time of stopping that mate. Maybe rook f2, but that gets mated on h1. Let's go for this. Risky move, but felt like I had to throw that in. So we're having some opportunities to attack. I like this. In the video yesterday, which you guys should definitely go check out, I also cultivated a devastating attack, but I couldn't convert that one. This time I'm trying to convert. And he's going to lose the exchange here. Plus this pawn, potentially. He's going to have to run with this bishop, and then we can take the pawn on g4, and this pawn is also potentially falling. So we're coming out of that little flurry of activity with a nice loot. So we're grabbing all the pawns now. And the knight goes to that square. Let's just take it. Now we want to trade down to victory because we're up material. We can push this pawn. Kick the knight. Just got to watch the time at this point. He's got a pass pawn here too, so we have to watch out. Here, let's connect the pawns. And what am I thinking? Get the rook behind the pawns at some point. Playing. Let's try to win this pawn first. Maybe play knight to f3. He's going to defend it. That makes sense. But we can start to try to break through here. Takes. Let's put the rook on d5 and hit this pawn again. And if he plays knight to f3, I can always push forward with d3. Trying to keep things solid. I am down on time, so I have to take that into account and not make the position so complicated that I'm bound to blunder something. I could also play g4 here, I'm thinking. Let's go for more direct. Just try to ram this pawn down the board. Okay, so he goes for there. Now we can kick the knight and grab this pawn. Doodly, doing well. Now it's about limiting counterplay and making sure he can't muster up some sort of a legendary comeback. He has ideas of going here, but the rook is defending that pawn, so we don't have to worry about that. We can just take the bishop. And if he retreats the bishop, we can... Okay, trade the bishop off. And now let's line up a battery on the e file. Thread to penetrate to e2. He's going to play his knight to f4. That makes sense. Let's play rook to d6. Now I want to bring my king into the game as well. He's only got 2 pieces left, so it makes sense to get the king a little bit more active. But when you have a knight, you have a chance, so we have to make sure we're not blundering a fork anywhere. Okay, let's get the queenside pawns rolling so that we can have a connected passed pawn. And we could sack the rook for the knight even at some point. Okay, he's going to go there. We can trade off and simplify the position immensely. Let's not go for that yet. Let's just push the pawn first. I was thinking about it, but I think we can do a little bit better. Okay, here now he's making it very tempting to sack for the knight, but I think we can still hold off. Let's keep it patient. Let's keep things patient. He's got this move, but we can pin his knight to the king if he plays there. So he has to be careful as well. Okay, now we can inch the king closer. Trying to get my king into this square. He's going to be as annoying as possible with the knight. But at any moment, I can still sack for the knight, so he has to be careful. Okay, he's going there. Now let's get the rook behind the pawn and see if we can push, but we got to be careful not to drop this pawn. Is he going to move back with the knight is the question. He goes there with the knight. Okay. Let's go there with our rook. Throws in a check. All right, screw it. I'm going to take the knight. and push the kingside pawns now. I got 3 passed pawns. He's almost in Zugzwang. And he resigns. Okay. Let's take a look at the game review. Played at a 78.9, a 1650 performance, so I'm pretty satisfied with that. Let's hop over to Lichess and see what the engine has to say about it. Switch over here. I don't need this. Okay. So we seize the advantage in the middle game. So here it says we had a pretty significant advantage, negative 1.8. And Stockfish just likes taking here with a knight instead of playing knight e to f5. And after takes, we could play the rook to e6. So takes, rook to e6. Queen to f3. And then we can double up rooks on the e file. And that allows us to win a pawn here on b2. So clearing a lot of pieces away and then forcing him to come to the e file to trade off grabs us a pawn on b2 eventually in that variation. So that was better in Stockfish's opinion than playing knight to f5. Okay, duly noted. What else? Here we had a major chance at a huge advantage. Probably could have won a piece here or something like that. Here, just playing d4. Okay. Material is dead even here. d4 doesn't allow us to win any more material or anything like that. But playing d4 protects the knight and opens up this long diagonal. And also so that we don't have to retreat back to h4, which is kind of a concession that we have to make. Other variations, it even likes sacrificing the piece. Rook e8, king takes g2, d4 check, and then playing queen d5. So that's another way to go about it. I guess the attack is so strong, and we have these two really powerful bishops, and then it's saying we just don't even need the knight. And then after bishop takes h4 here, just playing queen d5, we secure the advantage. Queen f3 is the best that he can do, having to sacrifice an exchange, and we just converted to victory after that. So that was the game. Hope you guys have enjoyed today's event and hope you learned something from it. For those of you guys who are maybe playing some chess this weekend, some over-the-board chess or play online, wish you guys the best of luck. Just try to remember to check for tactics and not be too stifled on the board. Try to open things up. Let your first instinct guide you and try to calculate and think about what your first instinct tells you to do, because there's a lot of wisdom and a lot of experience there. Even if you're a newer player, just training yourself to kind of calibrate to what that initial impulse is, which, a lot of times is going to be something very active and something very, or it could be something very passive. If your instinct tends to be passive, you double checking that and analyzing it can help you to expand your personality and grow as a person as well, both over the board and in your psychology. So hope you guys have taken something from this game, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.